Welcome back to the channel. Racer X here, and I am at Lone Star Cadillac. This is in Garland, Texas. I've actually never filmed with these guys in the past, but I was told they have a very cool car, which I've been looking forward to reviewing with you guys, and today I'm actually going to bring it to you. It is the CT5 V Blackwing, and we want to know, how does this thing actually compare to, say, a Hellcat? Well, today you're going to find out all about it. I'm going to show you all the really neat features on the brand new Blackwing, also give you my driving impressions on how it compares. It should be a fun one. If you're brand new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Right down here in the corner is where you can find that button. We got lots of great things planned for you this year, and we are off.
T-minus 15 seconds.
And there it is. That is the brand new Cadillac CT5 V Blackwing. This thing is actually more powerful than the mighty ZL1 Camaro. That is actually the fastest Cadillac ever produced, and it is quite the package on this. I can't wait to show you what the inside of this car looks like. We'll talk a little bit more about the power plant and some of the unique features. So the first thing I want to do is kind of give you just a little bit of a glimpse of just how beautiful this car really is. You can see the wheels. We'll talk about that in just a moment. You do see the V there on the side. And of course, as we get around here to the back of the vehicle, you can see, I mean, it is a pretty distinctive looking Cadillac. This is not your grandfather's Cadillac, so to speak. This is a very special package on this car. This is an incredibly hard car to find. As you can see, once again, you do see V. This is in fact a CT5. And of course, this has the bigger 6.2 liter supercharged engine inside of it. I absolutely love this, the black accents on this car. A really nice looking vehicle, very stylish. And like I said, it's not really your grandfather's Cadillac. There's just a lot more lines, a lot more aggression to this. As we know, they're no longer making just the regular CT-SV anymore. So they went ahead and went with something like this. I love just the darker kind of accents here in the front of the car. And it really does make a statement going down the road. Now, I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about the wheels on this car. You actually do get 3 different wheel options on this car. This one is kind of the middle of the road. You can see those big 6-piston calipers in there. Very powerful brakes on this. You can actually, for about $9,000, you can do the carbon ceramics with the cross-drilled rotors. This is actually the only vehicle that you can find that on, which is pretty darn cool. It comes with 275 Michelins in the front. And as we jump back here to the rear, we've got 305s back here. So this is actually the same width wheel that you would find, say, on like a Charger Hellcat with the wide body package on it. So a lot of meat under the back end of this thing. Good looking wheel package on this. Like I said, you do get a couple different options on this. These wheels are about $1,500 as an option. But now, one other thing that I will mention, and this is getting harder and harder to get. Matter of fact, when I went on Cadillac's website earlier today, you can't even order it with this package on it, but it does have the optional carbon fiber package on it. It's like a $4,100 option. You can see you do get the carbon fiber splitter here. You get this piece here right in front of the front wheel. And then, of course, as we step back here, you also get this beautiful carbon fiber spoiler. So $4,100 for that. And they also have another option that's like $5,200, where you kind of get some other carbon fiber pieces. For example, you get this down here. You also get a rear section right back here, the diffuser that is carbon fiber. On this one, it is black, and a couple other goodies. So you could spend as much as $10,000 on the carbon fiber accents for this car as well. So here is the revised engine in the CT5 V Blackwing. Yes, this is a revised LT4. This thing is actually hand built, and you can see right here there's a plaque indicating who it was actually built by. I think that is actually quite cool, and this actually puts out more power than, say, a C7 Z06 or a ZL1. This actually puts out 668 horsepower and 659 pound-feet of torque due to some of the revisions they've done to this engine, and it is absolutely fantastic. They'd say this thing will actually run the quarter mile in 11.6 seconds at 125 miles an hour. And to be able to do that in all of this luxury is something else. 0 to 60 takes 3.4 seconds, they say, in the 10-speed, which is what this one is. Now, I do kind of want to make a couple other quick points. This vehicle does come equipped standard with Magna Ride. That means it actually makes over 1,000 little adjustments every second. That's why this thing has such a fantastic ride to it. And also when you jump over here, you can see you've got these nice big vents that they put in the front of this car, and that actually helps that airflow kind of come into the heat exchanger. And of course, we know the heat exchanger is integral for making sure that that supercharger right up here stays cool. So very nice design from Cadillac indeed. And here we have the interior of the CT5 V Blackwing. And I tell you what a fantastic place to sit. It is beautiful in here. This actually has the $6,000 seat upgrade in here. You can see the two-tone. I mean, just what a great place to sit. You can see the upgrade back here. They also have a $3,000 upgrade where you're gonna get more of like a diamond stitching in here. But a lot of different seat options here. A beautiful steering wheel from these guys, as you would expect on a Cadillac at this level. Of course, you've got some carbon fiber bits here as well. Carbon fiber here in the center. You've got a really nice storage area. A beautiful 10-inch infotainment screen here. You do have your climate controls here in the middle, and this is pretty standard on the Cadillacs now, but you've also got your you've got your drive mode selectors, all that good stuff right in here, your volume, all of that. Even on the doors, you do get some carbon fiber bits, which I love, more of that two-tone interior. And of course, you get your V sill right here, and then over here in the back, what a great place to sit in the back of this. First of all, check out the carbon fiber on the back of this seat. Man, it just looks awesome to me. I love the sportiness of this particular Cadillac. Like I said, this is not an old man's Cadillac, guys. I mean, this is pretty legit. I love the two-tone on the seat belts as well, but a nice big functional back seat back here that is very comfortable to sit in. Here is the seating position inside the Blackwing, and I'll tell you, man, what a great place to sit. Now, these particular seats are actually a little bit firm, but you can see the beautifully appointed steering wheel here. As I did mention, you got the two-tone kind of on the door here, as well as the carbon fiber window and door controls, basically right where you would expect them. You do a lot of your climate control kind of right here in the middle. One thing I do love about the GM products is you're going to get that heads-up display, which means you're going to get that hologram that pops up right up here. Of course, you've got your gear selector, your drive mode selector, all of that kind of stuff down here. You've also got a button here in the center of the steering wheel for a little bit quicker access to some of your drive modes, which I think is actually really cool. What a beautiful digital display in this vehicle as well. And really, I love all the carbon fiber accents in here. You're not sitting all that close to your passenger, so there's a little bit of room in here. Love the two-tone seat belts. And then, of course, even back here, you can see you've got a nice functional back seat back here, a very comfortable place to sit. And not to mention, this one has 2 sunroofs in it. I love that. One other really cool feature that I do want to talk about just briefly is this little joker right here. This is actually how you can control your traction. So as I twist this, take a look here at the different performance traction options that you have as you go up. You have different race traction options. And then of course, you can also go down. You've got sport, dry, wet, also your inactive, where you can just simply not have it. So that's pretty cool that you can do that right here from this little button. So that is unique. Now I am actually aboard the CT5 V Blackwing, and man, what a great place to sit in this car. I've always liked Cadillac in terms of their comfort and just their interior amenities. And so when we compare this, say, to a Hellcat, you know, I think from a straight line performance, it's going to be pretty close. This thing is actually about 500 pounds lighter than a Hellcat. Matter of fact, I wrote it down here. This thing is exactly 463 pounds lighter than a Hellcat, and I would not have thought that. I always thought Caddies were kind of heavy, but this thing is actually significantly lighter, 4,123 pounds for a big long sedan. This thing is actually 6 inches shorter than a Hellcat as well. Comes with the same 305 tires out back, basically a little bit different brand, but in terms of just how wide they are, basically the same. This thing actually stickers right around $86,000. And that is actually for the manual. The 10-speed is like another $2,300 or something like that. But it is a really nice thing to have in the 10-speed. The fact that they make this thing in a manual is just crazy to me. I think that is very, very cool. And as I've told you guys in the past, I love a well-sorted manual car. But this thing will go over 200 miles an hour in all of this luxury, and it sounds fantastic when you start it. So really, how does it compare to a Hellcat? From a luxury perspective, hands down, this is better. This thing is more expensive, and you can actually option this thing out to be like 120 grand, because when you start throwing option after option, I mean, you can put tons of options on this, whereas like a comparably equipped Jailbreak, you won't get quite as much from a luxury perspective, and it'll be a little bit less money. We know that car is probably faster in a straight line because that thing makes almost 800 horsepower. When you compare it to a standard Hellcat, maybe this one's favorable. So let's take it down the road and see how it drives. So now that I'm actually getting to drive the Blackwing around a little bit, I mean, this thing feels incredibly balanced for such a big car. And one of the things I thought was pretty cool when I did a little bit of research on this particular car is the fact that the brakes actually adjust with the drive modes. And you've got several drive modes. You've got like ice and snow. You've got, of course, your sport, your track, all that good stuff. You have tour, really however you want to set it up. And even the brakes adjust accordingly. Of course, you know the suspension is going to do the same thing. But even in sport mode, like I have this right now, the ride is a little stiff, but it's still comfortable. But the turn in and the turnout on this thing for a big sedan is actually really impressive. I mean, I'm sitting here enjoying driving this thing. It's got all this power underfoot, and man, it's a really impressive driving car. I'm actually really pleased. It doesn't feel big and floaty at all. It actually feels like it's got a really weaponized steering system in it. I love it. So whenever I get a little straightaway, I always like to kind of test the cars out just a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of get a couple of downshifts here. There goes the downshifts. We'll let it kind of eat and see what it sounds like. Oh, it sounds great. I'll tell you what, it is, the pickup on this is actually really quick. It actually moved my camera around just a little bit. This thing rolls out pretty good. I was kind of surprised at how instantaneous the power comes on in this car. It's quite nice. I'm actually really enjoying messing with the manual mode in this car right now because the paddle shifters in it are great. And then, yeah, just get a little stretch like that and boom, it's all, wow. This thing sounds amazing for a Cadillac. I was not expecting it to sound that good. The exhaust in this actually sounds really aggressive for a Cadillac, more so than when I would say I drove the CTS-V. That exhaust sounded a little more buttoned down. This one sounds pretty aggressive. I'm pretty impressed with it. So I do want to admit that the power in this actually does surprise me a little bit. It really doesn't make much more power than, say, you know, a C7 Z06 or, you know, like a CTS-V would have. Those engines were actually really nice, smaller blower, but very efficient. But the power on that was pretty linear. I've always thought like the Hellcats, they just sort of come out of the box a lot harder. It's more like driving a sledgehammer with the Hellcat. This one actually hits a lot harder than what I remember the CTS-V hitting. It's just such a nice linear, more of a smooth pull in the V, the CTS-V. This one actually hits pretty darn, it feels a lot like the sledgehammer feel of a Hellcat. I'm really pleased with how hard and fast the power in this thing comes on and the sound that comes out of the back. Still trying to remember I'm driving a Cadillac here. All right, so now I've got a little stretch of road right here. We'll go ahead and let it go in second gear with the paddle shifter. And, oh man, the power comes on really smooth. Oh, yes. The power does come on really nice in this car. It keeps moving my camera around, so sorry about that, guys. But anyway, man, this is a great car to drive. It's impressive. So I'm actually back at the dealership. Huge shout out to the guys here at Lone Star Cadillac for letting me borrow this beautiful CT5 V Blackwing. I really did enjoy driving this car. So my final thoughts really are this. You know, I've driven lots of CTS-Vs, and for some weird reason, you know, even the Z06s and stuff, the power on this, it seems to come on just a little bit stronger. And I realize that it makes a little more horsepower, but you wouldn't think you would really feel 19 horsepower. But for some reason, this thing seems to have just more kick. The power is just, it just comes on harder in this car than it did in the other cars. Like I said, the ZL1, also the Z06, fantastic power plants. This one just feels just slightly more next level. So how does it really compare to a Hellcat? You know what? It is right on par in terms of just straight line performance of a Hellcat. I feel like maybe the handling of this is actually slightly better than a Hellcat. It's a lighter car. It's not quite as long. The wheelbase is still pretty long on it though. So, I mean, it rides really good. You saw all the different options in terms of, you know, the traction control, the suspension, all the ways you can set this up. Now, when we get into price, that's when things change a little bit. Obviously, this is a more expensive car. I mean, you just get the automatic in this car, you're already at $86,000. But by the time you start, you know, putting all the options you want on a car like this, I mean, you could realistically expect $110,000 price tag on it. And because they're so hard to get, you're probably going to be looking at dealer markup as well. That is very standard on these cars. They're so hard to find, these Blackwing cars. But if you ever get a chance to drive one, I would definitely recommend it. How does it compare to, say, like a red eye? It's not as fast in a straight line as a red eye is. Probably, you know, like I said, you can probably get a red eye for even less money or even a jailbreak. However, from a luxury and amenities perspective, this one is absolutely the king. Hands down, this is the better vehicle. So while it is more expensive, I feel like you do get more. It has a ton of capability for a Cadillac. I'm really impressed with how this thing drives. I would rock the garbage out of one of these. It's just a little bit too rich for my blood in terms of price. But if you are fortunate enough to own one of these, I think you'd really enjoy it. Well, guys, that about does it for my review of the brand new CT5 V Blackwing. What a fantastic car. It is beautiful inside and out. I love the interior on this car. How does it really stack up against a Hellcat? It's right there in terms of straight line performance. I would not favor this against a red eye, as I did mention, but it is a really nice driving car and all the luxury you would expect from Cadillac, and it's still really, really fast and it sounds good. So I would encourage you, if you ever get a hold of one of these, take it for a drive and you will see it is an absolutely fantastic that GM put together on this particular deal. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below, and I will catch you on the next one. So until then, Racer X.